Hey folks, it's Ash from BeingSwenglish, and it's been a while, I know, but I just saw a funny story that made me smile. Interestingly, the story's in a magazine online called The Philippine Star. It's also in The Local, which is a Swedish blog, but it's behind a paywall, so I'm not going to bother reading that because I can't. But it's funny, it's about a little town in Luleå, I think that's how you pronounce it, 150 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. So that is very, very north. I mean, basically, it's the middle of nowhere. If you live there, comment below. By the way, I'd love to hear from you. And they've just released a new campaign that started at the end of October called Say Hey, which basically translates to say hi. And it's quite funny. This is so Swedish. But basically, the commune or the council have started a campaign to persuade locals of this tiny, tiny little place to say hello to each other. I mean, as if the stereotype of Swedes being reserved needed any more evidence or proof. Well, there you go. They've got to actually promote people talking to each other. But it's quite sweet. Now, this is a very small place. There's only 80,000 people living there. Actually, that's not that small, is it? But it's ironic, really, because the people that started it said that compared to like life in Spain, where people are living outdoors and sitting on benches and talking to each other, apparently in Luleå they don't really do that. But then we have to factor in that in the middle of winter, in December, this is a town or a part of Sweden that only gets 3 hours of sunshine a day. I mean, basically that's like living in a box, a very dark box as well. So you can imagine the lack of vitamin D, the lack of sun, the lack of sunburn. That's not a bad thing. But it's quite lonely because when it's cold, you don't see so many people out. People don't want to stop and talk and be outside, I guess. So this new campaign is going to run for 4 weeks. Apparently, they've even made a video about it, which you can see here. And it's being shown in schools as well. They're arranging public viewings. Because apparently their research shows that people of age 16 up to 29 show severe degrees of loneliness and feelings of just being quite depressed. So they need all the help they can get. Now, it is funny because these stereotypes of Swedes being reserved is, I think, very much a myth. It's a mythical stereotype because if you go to any of the big cities here, Malmö, Helsingborg, Gothenburg, Stockholm, people talk. People just talk to you. Exactly the same as they do in London and any other big, capital, big major city as well. But go to the small cities or towns and yeah, you might feel like no one wants to talk. But go to any smaller city or town in England or in Germany or in France or any other European or global country and it's exactly the same. So I don't really know why Sweden ends up with this reputation of being more reserved and more inward and not being very social and no one talks, no one looks and makes eye contact. Have you walked around London sometimes? It's no different there. In fact, if anything, I think London's probably one of the most unfriendly cities I've ever visited. No one makes eye contact. No one wants to look at anybody for fear of, I don't know, inciting violence or something. It's a very strange place. So this lovely little campaign is not a bad idea in Luleå, and no doubt if it catches on and, hey, people start saying hello to each other, then maybe other Swedish towns might adopt it as well, actually. The expert that's behind this campaign has said that research shows it can contribute to social bonds and has a positive impact on health, safety and well-being. I'm sure it does. And you know what? In my experience, when I'm walking around in Sweden, my other half, my partner, she's often very embarrassed by this. But when I walk towards somebody in Sweden, generally if it's an older couple, I say, hey. And they look up and they go, hey, as if it's a miracle. Somebody said hello to them. Wow. And you see their face light up. And I actually saw a lovely poster the other day in a little cafe. And it said, actually, I can't remember what it said, but it was something like, smile and people around you will also smile. And it's true, The Brits in Sweden that moan about being lonely here because no one talks to them probably aren't smiling or saying hello or pushing themselves out of their own comfort zone to connect with other people. But if you do, not only does it give you an opportunity to break the ice and chat to somebody, not only does it boost your own self-confidence as well, because there's that feeling in the back of the head, I want to say hello to them, but I'm scared to talk. overcome that, push yourself out of your comfort zone, say hello to people. If you're at a bar, that's where generally it's very easy to get chatting to people. Buses as well. I remember the old days when I lived in England, you always had these crazy people on the buses, and I don't know why, they always talk to me. I see exactly the same in Sweden. It's no different here. It really isn't. So push yourself out of your comfort zone, get chatting to people, say hi to people, or say hey, and get chatting. Anyway, let's keep an eye on this little campaign. Let's see how it progresses. It's not really got much attention in the media yet, but no doubt if it kicks off and is a success, then it probably will end up there. Anyway, thanks for watching this. If you're interested in Sweden, or you're moving to Sweden, or you already live here, then hit that subscribe button. Comment below as well and let me know about your experiences in Sweden, whether it's loneliness or communication or saying hi to strangers. And and also join our group BeingSwenglish on Facebook. It's rapidly growing with almost 1,500 members now. It's not toxic, it's not negative, it's not full of miserable people that have moved to Sweden and brought their baggage with them. It's full of decent, lovely people, and they're all meeting up and making their own connections locally where they live. So if you're looking for new contacts, new, decent, real people that won't bring you down and will put a smile on your face, definitely join that group. Thanks very much for watching, folks.